You know that classic video games are back when General Motors licenses the Spy Hunter game and theme song for a commercial with their new Pontiac. And I have to admit, it's really one of the best commercials I've ever seen. I've had Spy Hunter for years, and this is one of the rare games that you play on the Atari 2600 with two controllers. The Atari 2600 controller, as you know, only had one button. Now this was pretty limiting in what you could do with that game system. So there were a few games that came out. Stargate comes to mind, the Indiana Jones game, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Spy Hunter. Now it's kind of a pain in the ass to use two Atari controllers at once, and I actually play my Atari with a Sega Genesis controller, or I have the European Atari 7800 controller, which is similar to a Nintendo controller. So I usually just have one in my lap, and if I need to use the other button, I just reach over and hit the other controller. I think initially when the game system came out, there was some device where you could put two Atari controllers together with a strap. I've never actually seen that. Spy Hunter is a classic arcade game. It's got one of the best video game themes ever made, and as an arcade title, it's one of the best video games ever made. I don't think the Atari 2600 version lives up to the magic of the arcade classic, the stand-up arcade version. But, you know, what are you going to do? When you were a kid back in the 80s and all you had was an Atari 2600 and you wanted to play Spy Hunter, this was the version you got. Revisiting it, it's challenging and frustrating because you can't shoot things in front of you at close range because they explode and then your car blows up in their explosion. So shooting things is very difficult. I don't remember it being that hard in the arcade. And the Spy Hunter mobile turns into a speedboat. Let's see the Mach 5 do that. We have a variety of cars, of course. You have the standard cars, you have the cars with spikes on the side of them, you have the blue cars, which are armored cars, and you have to run them off the road. You can't machine gun them. You have a variety of special weapons that you get in your Knight Rider-style 18-wheeler truck, like the smoke screen and the oil slick. Although your smoke screen and oil slick just make the enemy cars explode into pixels. But the bottom line is that when you combine Knight Rider, Speed Racer, and James Bond, that you end up with Spy Hunter, and it's one of the greatest video games ever made, even if the Atari 2600 version falls a bit short. Now, what came first? Was it Speed Racer or Spy Hunter? I think Speed Racer was first. The Spy Hunter car does look a lot like the Mach 5, which would make this game even cooler because then you know that Trixie and Chim Chim are in the trunk of it. And that should make you feel good every time that car explodes.